Welcome to the Strong Enough podcast, where we talk about the challenges and celebrate the triumphs of people from all walks of life. I'm your host, Claudia. Today's guest is going to share how she has used her faith to help with her own healing and forgiveness, and now helps other women when they struggle with trauma or challenges of their own. She's also going to talk about how she was able to discover her gift of creativity that she didn't know she had. Please help me welcome Cheryl Salto. Cheryl, how are you doing today?
Hi, Claudia. I'm good. How are you?
I am well. And I got to tell you, I am so excited to have you here today.
Oh,
We have formed our own little online bond
yes, we.
and have kind of gotten to know each other over the last month or two. And I was so excited when you agreed to join me here today. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Well, the honor is all mine. It will also be the audience's when they
Oh,
get to hear what you have to offer. So that's how we're going to start because I know you and I already love you, but I want the audience to know and love you as well. So will you share a little bit about yourself?
sure. I have been married for 35 years to a wonderful man, a really wonderful man. We have two kids now grown. My daughter is 30 and my son is 32. He's going to school to be a doctor, and I am a first-time grandma, and that is the highlight of my life right now. That's all I think about is my little Bella. I'm a registered nurse. It's, for many, many years now. And years ago, when I was raising my kids, I raised them at home, and I started my first business. Candy Undercover is what it was.
Mhm.
And as I raised my kids, I did the business, and I was blessed. It grew and grew really well until I was ready to go back to work being a nurse. So at that point, I sold the business and to two women in New York who currently, I think, still run that Candy Undercover business. Then I went back, back and forth to nursing, chocolate, whatever. But through COVID, I did work. I did home care, and I saw a lot, and uh, it was it was really hard. So I worked through it, and then at the end, I remember just telling my boss I need to take some time off. So when I came home, I had all these ideas in my head because it had been probably 15, 20 years since I started my first business. And things have changed. So I just started creating and creating and found such therapy in just creating and losing myself in what I was creating. And it took off. So, people say, why Candy Undercover 2? So that's the story of Candy Undercover 2. But yes, I love it. It's just very I don't know. I'm finding out things about myself that I'm actually
Mhm.
a creative person, which I didn't know I was. But also just like losing myself. I don't know if you've ever lost yourself
Mhm.
in doing something, and it's very, very cool.
I love a lot that you said there. So it's going to take me a minute to get through it all. But first
It's
off,
okay.
congratulations on 35 years
Thanks.
because in today's society,
Yes.
marriage and monogamy it isn't as valued, I think, as it used to be. And we see a lot of people either not getting married or
Mm.
giving up very easily. And I'm not saying that there aren't situations where people should leave. There absolutely are.
Yes.
But bravo to you and your husband for battling through,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
it's easy to give up, right? It's easy when
Yes.
things get tough, whether it's marriage, business, to give up. So I want to
Mm.
start there by congratulating you guys
Thank
on
you.
doing that.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to congratulate you and thank you for your service as a nurse. My mom was a nurse as
Oh,
well. Yes. And so I have so much respect for what you guys do.
mm,
And to those people who are doctors, or your son, I think you said, who's studying to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Doctors are great, but we
Yeah.
all know the
Yes.
real work comes
Yes.
from the nurses. So let's just put that
Agreed.
out there. Doctors, don't get mad at me,
Right.
but the nurses are out there doing the really hard
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Agreed.
So the other thing that I really liked is you talked about kind of finding yourself.
Mm.
And for people who can't see us right now, who are just listening, they can't see that we are clearly both in our early 20s and, super young. But they did hear you say you've been married for 35 years and you have
Right.
kids in their 30s. So they know that you're at least, 36.
Yeah. Right.
So, what I love though about what you said is that you're showing that no matter what your age is, you can always learn things about yourself.
Yeah.
You can always grow.
Mhm.
What has it been like for you, kind of in this part two of Candy Undercover?
Yeah.
What has it been like for you to learn so much about yourself after all the years that you've spent growing, and maybe even feeling like, well, I'm done learning. This is who I
Mhm.
am.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
how does that feel?
Well, it's funny. I don't know if I've ever felt that way. Like I've always, I didn't know that I was creative. Like I said, I didn't know that I had so much passion, like for, just, I don't know, just working and just getting it out
Mhm.
there and making my product successful. I didn't have any business background. So, what I've learned is from my husband and from myself, self-taught. And um, I, I like who I am now,
Mhm.
a whole lot better than I did, I think, when I was younger. But
How does it feel,
yeah,
learning these things about yourself, learning
yeah,
new things later in life, not, late, but, past your 20s
yes,
and 30s when people think all their learning happens.
yeah,
How
yeah.
does it feel to learn things about yourself further than that?
It feels great. It feels great. It feels like I finally know who I am.
Mhm.
And that's really a cool feeling. I didn't really feel like, when I was a kid, it was like, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? You either go to school in business or you go to be a nurse. I mean, we didn't have the internet. I sound like I'm 500 years old, but so I went in to be, a nurse. And I love making a difference in people's lives. But I
Mhm.
don't know if I love nursing, but what I'm doing now, I love. And, mentoring people, like that stuff that fills
Mhm.
my soul. Um,
So
yeah.
let's talk about that a little bit, because a lot of people might be thinking right now, you just said I'm mentoring people,
Mhm.
and listeners are thinking, but she makes candy.
Yeah.
So talk about mentoring people and
Okay.
counseling people. Let's talk a little bit about that part of your
Okay.
life.
Yep. So, probably about 15 years ago, I trained as a Stephen minister. And at the time, I didn't even know what that was. It was offered out of my church, and it was a pretty big commitment. And basically, what that is you are trained to walk with people who are going through tragedy. So
Mhm.
whether it's a death or empty nest or divorce or dealing with kids that are rebellious or whatever, all the stuff that's going on in the
Mhm.
world, um, we were trained to show up and to listen and to be there for them through that, walking through that time.
So you're mentoring people, and
Oh, yeah.
you're walking people through some of
Yeah.
the worst times in their life,
Yes.
potentially. So what is that like? What is that like to do, and how does that affect you as you're walking alongside someone that
Yeah.
is struggling?
Yeah. Well, one thing I've always struggled with and continue to struggle with is not to wear it.
Mhm.
If I know somebody's hurting, it's hard not to walk away and feel that pain and, not have it affect me. So I'm still
Mhm.
working on that part.
Mhm.
But it's wonderful. And I don't believe that, well, I do believe that everything I have gone through, which has been a lot in my life,
Mhm.
has trained me to minister to other women. Um, it brought me deeper into my faith. If I didn't have God, in my life, getting through the hard times, I don't know where I would be. I don't know how people do it without faith,
Hmm.
and without God, and without, um, friends that also, that circle of friends that encourage you, and iron sharpens iron. Um,
Hmm.
so um, I love it. I feel like I am, um, making a difference in someone's life, and it feels really good.
Religion has become one of those topics. Well, I guess it hasn't become, it's been for a while,
Hmm.
one of those topics that we're not supposed to talk about.
Right.
We're we're not supposed to talk about politics and religion.
Mhm.
And I find that very unfortunate because I
Yeah.
think that we really could learn a lot
Yeah.
about one another and learn a lot from one another, because there are different religions and
Hmm.
different viewpoints. So, what is it like for you to be in a world where religion in a lot of places has been kind of shoved
Right.
to the side,
Yeah.
to be someone that really relies on that connection with God as I do? What is it like for you to live in that world where a lot of people don't?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. It's hard. Some people just give you the hand, and I
Hmm.
think that it's okay to, respect that. But I find that most people are hurting inside. Most
Hmm.
people are like thirsty to know the truth, thirsty to know, you know, the truth. I mean, the
Hmm.
Bible is God's truth, and I think, in my opinion, until we get that into our spirits and into our souls, we're never going to feel peace.
Hmm.
So, when I do meet with women and they're questioning, they have questions. I
Hmm.
love it. I love it because it just tells me that, the spirit in them is moving. They want to know more. They want that peace. They want that guidance, and they're on a track that
Hmm.
is going to bring life, not death. So, yeah, I find it quite invigorating, actually. Yeah. Yeah. I don't really struggle with it, but I
Hmm.
also read the room, if somebody
Right.
isn't, if they're clearly like this, then I'm certainly not going to put my opinion on them. But if they ask, which a lot
Hmm.
of people do ask, then I share it.
I love that because I do think a lot of us struggle, to talk about being a believer
Hmm.
sometimes, because we don't want to offend somebody
Yeah.
or, make somebody uncomfortable. So, I try to do the same as you in, reading the room and
Yeah.
not per se like leading, with like, yay, God.
Yes. Yeah.
But what is it like for you? Do you ever have women that come to you for counsel that maybe aren't believers,
Yeah.
but then through this process find that relationship with Jesus?
Yeah, some do and some don't. And as I've done this through the years, I've kind of fine-tuned it so that, I want people to come to me who want to know the truth,
Hmm.
not who want to hear themselves talk or who want to argue or look for arguments, because it's a waste of time for everybody. Like,
Hmm.
you either want to get well and you want to know, um, and find peace and wholeness, or you don't. So I kind of do, like, on my website, I do write, that I counsel Christian women. And by
Hmm.
that, as long as you believe that, Jesus is Lord and Savior, and you believe in the Holy Word, then we're off to a good start. We can move forward.
I know for me, there have been times in my life where I have been through some really difficult things, and it made me question God.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It made me wonder, well, is God really all powerful? Why did this happen? What's the reason behind it all? And I have been able to, grow and learn and reflect and kind of understand that we live in a world of sin.
Right.
God doesn't control everything that happens in that world of sin. How has that been for you? Because I know you have been through some difficult times in your life as well. So did you ever question God or, his power, his love? And if so, how did you reconcile that?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, of course I did. Yeah, I guess I just it it probably took me years to process the
Hmm.
real hard stuff and to wrap my head around it. But then in the end, um, God is God and I'm not, and don't I can't see things from his perspective, but I
Hmm.
do know who I am in him, and I know he loves me, and I know that I'm his child, and I know, it's like that parent-child relationship.
Hmm.
So I try to remember that, and yeah, there's stuff that's like even when I was in nursing, and I would go through the nursing homes and the see all the elderly people just lying there and like,
Hmm.
nobody to clean them, nobody to feed them, no, they can't talk, they can't. And I would leave like, okay, I don't get this. Like what I know that every day that we have breath, we have a purpose on this planet, but like I don't.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
But then again, I'm not him. And,
Hmm.
I can't begin to understand his. I always think of it like there's like if you picture an ant, right, walking around, and then
Hmm.
you picture us, that little ant can't possibly understand or have the brain that we have.
Hmm.
So, same as us with God, like it's
Right.
just not going to happen all day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It'd be nice, but
Yeah, it would be nice. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's very common and I don't know, just hanging in there and just like, just even recently my daughter was married and went through a divorce soon after and it, it's we're real new into it. It's the divorce was final in January, but like my husband and I just really took months to work through that, and the
Mhm.
prayer that went into that, and um, and then the pain that follows with divorce and the whole ripple effect is it was hard to
Mhm.
really wrap my head around. But like, now that the dust is sort of clearing and I can see his hand in all of it.
Mhm.
That's not what he wanted, of course, but well, maybe he did in the end, but it, there's still beauty in all of it. And we'll all survive. And yeah, I mean, I
Mhm.
can't remember who I heard. It sounds so basic, but she said we can't leave this earth unscathed.
Right.
Okay. And I was like, okay, that's so simple, but so good. you know,
Right.
yeah.
Right. It's so true. And one of the things that I have always said is everything happens for a reason. And it's very cliche and it's like, okay, everything happens for a reason. But I really do believe that, and the way that I look at the really horrible things that I've been through is that God knew that I would be strong enough
Mm,
to handle it,
hmm.
and I would then be able to utilize that experience to
Yeah.
help others. That is my
Yes.
purpose. Do you feel similar? Has that been a mindset or a mantra that you have had, that you can use these things that you've been through
Hmm.
for the benefit and the good of others?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And we become wiser too,
Hmm.
through it all. We just we grow and you can either be refined or you can be bitter, I guess. But yeah, it's kind of beautiful, really, in the end, who we
Hmm.
become after the hard times. Um,
I agree with you. My friend Jen, who is a co-host and unfortunately couldn't be here today,
oh,
um, but she has a saying, or whatever, that basically, what happened to you was not your fault.
mm,
However, your healing
yes,
is your responsibility.
yes, yes,
And I think that's where a lot of people kind of, I don't want to say go wrong, but they get lost,
yeah,
because they know what happened to them wasn't their fault. This terrible
yeah,
thing they didn't ask for,
mhm,
and it's easy to fall into victimhood at that
yes,
point,
hmm,
versus saying, okay, that really sucked, but now,
yeah.
like, I gotta pull myself back up and figure out how to heal. Do you run into that a lot in your work, of people who kind of are sitting in that victimhood
Mm.
spot and thinking, well, why do I now have to do all this work to get
Yes.
better? I didn't
Yes.
even ask for what
Right.
happened to me to put me in this place.
Yes. That's a tough one. And it's
Mm-hmm.
really a perspective change. And I think you just have to kind of be ready to, I think that's also a process, you have to work through. But, I also remember thinking, God allowed his own son to die on a cross and be crucified and
Mm-hmm.
tormented. And, he loved his son and allowed that to happen for our good.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, he knows what it feels like. And, of course, Jesus knows what it feels like to be tormented and tortured and all that. So I don't know, that gave me a little bit of perspective as well. Like, we
Mm-hmm.
all thought it was all dark and well, not we weren't there, but, for 3 days, everybody thought,
Mm-hmm.
the devil won, but yet, 3 days later he rose. And so um, there's always hope. Yeah.
I love that. There's always hope. And I think that's what so often people in really dark situations, it's easy to forget
Mm,
that hope. And I know, for me, there were moments like crystal clear. I remember from not that long ago of laying in bed or literally
mm,
laying on my kitchen floor in tears, but knowing I still felt that little piece of hope there, which is what kept me going.
yes.
What is that like for you, not only for yourself, to feel that, but to help other women feel that, to help them see and grasp that little piece of hope? What is
Yeah.
that like for you?
Yeah, well, I think it's good to be able to see that hope because when you're
Mm-hmm.
usually in it, you can't. So
Mm-hmm.
it's good that you saw it. But I think there's always hope in every single situation. And maybe sometimes you just need one person in your life to kind of say, put that light on, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, they say if you don't have hope, that's when people just, don't want to live anymore. There has to be
Mm-hmm.
some spark of hope. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And it is hard to find
yeah,
sometimes in the really dark, desperate
yeah,
places that I know I have been, you have
mhm,
been, a lot of people,
yeah,
unfortunately, have been. And that hope is so difficult to find.
yeah,
For you, what are some of the things that have helped you find that hope? So, like for me, prayer is one. Music was a really
yes,
big thing for
yes,
me in some of my darkest times.
mm,
I would listen to songs over and over again that kind of brought
mhm,
me hope. What are some of the things for you that were able to show that glimmer of hope in those
yeah,
really dark times?
same. I mean, same. Music is huge, and it gets
Mm-hmm.
our focus off of us and onto God. That's really huge for me. And reading the Bible, I just remember that really dark time for me. I hung on for dear life, and
Mm-hmm.
literally felt like I was hanging on for dear life. And going to church. I mean, if you're fortunate enough to find the right church,
Mm-hmm.
just being in the presence of other believers and worshiping corporately. Um, that's powerful. And also just meeting with Christian friends, not disconnecting from people who speak life into me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and through the years, I've just kind of made my circle tighter and tighter. And just I want to leave meeting with someone feeling like I'd been given life and same with them,
Mm-hmm.
I hope. Not like go, like there's enough caca in the world without and it's one thing to share and share what you're going through and feel that pain with that person versus just plain old crap. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just negative crap or gossip or whatever. So I make my circle really tight and that helps too. Very life giving.
I love that you said that because I have been in a similar spot, especially lately, where you see the enemy trying to infiltrate in different ways into your life
Mm,
and or into my life, and have
mhm,
had to really tighten that circle around me
Mm.
because the enemy was trying to
Yep.
infiltrate. And it's hard, because you want to see the good. I don't see the good in everybody, I'll be honest, because
I
of my
don't either.
past. Being a
Yeah.
police officer and everything, I'm always the
Yeah.
first one to be like, no, they probably did it. Like, what are they hiding?
So am
Um,
I. Yeah.
it's like that's where I go. I'm like, what's your alibi? Versus I know you're fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But which I know we kind of share that belief. But I think we do have to rely on the people around us heavily to get through this life.
Yeah.
You talked about church, and I want to ask you something that I've seen recently in getting back into a church and becoming kind of a member of a new church. Church has really changed,
Yes, it
right?
has.
Like,
Yes, it has.
I strutted in there, and it's been a while now, but it's like, wait, we got a band up there?
I know.
What?
Yeah.
Like half of church is like a concert?
Yeah.
What? Like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So, is that what you experience in church? And how do you think this kind of new version of worshiping has affected people?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I love the music, right? Like
Hmm.
we just established. I love it, period. My husband, on the other hand, he's a musician. So he hears things, sees things. He's probably more cut and dry than I am.
Hmm.
But we've been through church. I said, married 35 years. We've been going to church for 35 years. We've been to a few churches and we've seen the progression of where the church is going. And
Hmm.
honestly, I think it's sad. I think that what's sad is that it's very hard to find a church that preaches the truth, just
Hmm.
the truth, without all of the prosperity thing and the I don't know, the junk that just shouldn't. But it doesn't belong in church. Church should be
Hmm.
a holy place.
Right.
So I Yeah, it's hard for us. We do have a local church that we go to, but sadly, neither one of us can really use our gifts that God's given us. So we
Hmm.
just kind of sit tight, and that's kind of why I started the business, the coaching, counseling,
Right.
because I still want to help people.
Right.
But I feel like it's okay because God has us at this place at this time
Hmm.
for a reason, and our job is to just sit tight. So, yes, and I grew up Catholic. So,
Same.
you did? Yeah.
Yes.
So very different.
Yeah.
Um, but
Not doing that anymore, but
you know,
no judgment to Catholics.
I
No
know.
judgment. Just wasn't for me. But
Me neither. Yeah, so I mean, you just really have to be careful. Like we tell
Mhm.
people, just be really careful. Like look at what they say at the beginning of the website, like what they believe in.
Right.
Really read it,
Hmm.
because if you're not really familiar with the word, or yeah, you just really have to be
Hmm.
careful because it's easy to go down a track you don't want to go down.
Yeah. Like, I see some of these mega churches,
Yeah,
and it really feels like it's not about God. It's not
yeah,
about worship. It's about popularity, and it's about
money. Mm,
yeah, money, a lot
mm,
of money. And churches need money. I get
mhm,
that. But yes, it feels kind of a different motivation.
yeah.
And I just want to say, for people who struggle with religion or who aren't religious, one, that's
Mm,
okay. That's your
mm,
choice.
mhm,
For me, talking about growing up Catholic,
mhm,
so, I grew up Catholic my whole childhood. And the issue came when I was very young. I got married when I was 23 and got divorced about a year later. And
mm,
so I felt like that the church didn't want me
yes,
anymore,
yes.
because for people who don't know, in Catholicism, divorce is a no-no.
Mhm.
And if you get divorced, you cannot get remarried in a Catholic church unless you go through a process of like a spiritual or a church annulment, which costs money, by the
Yeah.
way. Because I have a friend who was going to do that, and they were like, "Oh yeah, God will forget the marriage for $5,000," and it's like, I don't think that's how this is supposed to work. But anyway,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
after I went through that, I had like a real difficult time,
Mhm.
and I did a deep dive on religion about 10 years ago and really studied every religion from
Good for you.
Buddhist
Hmm.
to Islam, everything. Like if it was a religion, I was studying it. And for me, that was very helpful,
Yes.
to learn that what one group believes isn't necessarily what another group believes. But at the end of the day, God really does love all of us, no matter what you've been through.
Mm.
So, all that to say, and now I'm going to go in a different direction. I want to talk about sin
Yeah.
because for me, something that's been difficult is forgiveness.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is there are certain things that have happened that I still have trouble forgiving.
Sure.
But we also know that God, if you repent, forgives everybody. Do you ever struggle with thinking like, okay, like I get that God forgives everybody, but like, what about Ted Bundy? Did he forgive him too? Like, what
Yeah.
about the rapist down the street? Did he forgive him too? Do you ever struggle with that?
Um, yeah, I mean, I know God forgives everybody if they have a repentant heart.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and as far as like me forgiving people that have hurt me in the past, I mean, sometimes I feel like I made it, but then I don't. It
Right,
comes back. It keeps coming
right.
back, and the feelings keep coming back. And so, I just have to, I feel like God knows our heart. So as long as we
Mm-hmm.
just keep trying to forgive and keep trying to do the right thing, um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I think that's cool. I think that that's all we can do. He created us, so he knows how we think anyway, and what's
Mm-hmm.
hard for us. And but yeah, the sin thing. I mean, because the Bible says one sin is no different than the other sin, which is kind of weird for us to think. This guy's
Yeah,
going out murdering somebody, but yet you have.
right.
Um, but I think it's because he looks at our heart, and
Mm-hmm.
we're either remorseful or we're not remorseful, and
Right.
um, and that's the bottom line. Like I don't think we have to do anything else except be remorseful. Yeah.
Do you think when we see in heaven, or do you think we will see in heaven the people who hurt us
Mm.
if they repented, obviously? And if so, how will that feel? Like, do you think it'll be just a whole different playing field? Like, what will that be like?
Yeah, it's funny you said that. I was just thinking of that this morning because I was thinking about a few people. Um, yeah, I mean, I do think we're going to see them. I do think that it's going to be different. God says it's going to be different. There's not going to be any crying or pain or sorrow or
Mm-hmm.
anything. So maybe we'll see them and they'll see us as we were created to be,
Mm-hmm.
without all that junk. So yeah, that's going to be interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Like, that's one that really that sticks with me, because it's like, man, I just want to punch that dude in the face. I
No,
don't think you're
I
supposed to do
know.
that in heaven. So,
I know it's gonna be. I know my mom always says like my grandmother was kind of just kind of a manipulating, and she always would yell her name like Fran, Fran, and it'll go right through her head. And she said,
mhm.
I don't want to get to heaven and hear her call my name. I'm like, Mom, I'm sure God is gonna take care of that.
It will
So
be melodious and beautiful
yeah,
there. Well, let's talk about kind of a different, forgiveness or a different way, justice, in the justice system.
yeah,
And so not God's justice, but literal,
yeah.
our justice system. So I know some of the things that you've gone through, have been very difficult, and some of the things that we have discussed, you and I,
Mhm,
and watched together and talked about court cases and
mhm.
different like real life things in the justice system where we feel like the system has failed.
Yeah.
How do you reconcile that? Or what do you do to kind of feel okay with that or make that make sense?
That's a good question. I guess I just think to myself, God's got the final word. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm not going to waste my energy here on earth being ticked off or what. Like, I don't want any of that. So God's got the final judgment. He sees what's going on. Yes, it's disappointing. And
Hmm.
yes, I don't understand it. And it's also very scary. Um, I don't know, it just frightens me sometimes because I always kind of thought, oh, okay, well, if the jury thinks that they're not guilty, then they must not. And you just kind of always thought that, just
Right.
blindly, I guess. But lately, you know, it's kind of scary what
Hmm.
could happen.
I agree, and I mean, there must be some sort of plan,
Yes.
along the
Mhm.
way. One of the things that I have done, or I guess one of the things that I created for myself to feel better, was kind of a new take on justice. And what I mean by that is I have started to define justice as so if I'm the victim per se,
Mhm.
if I have done everything in my power to bring forth an issue or, a situation through the justice system, if
Mhm.
I've done everything I can do, then that has to be justice. Do you know what I'm saying? So, if I report something and I tell the truth and bring the evidence and do
Yeah.
whatever I'm capable of doing, if the jury says, well, not guilty,
Mhm.
then at least I did everything I could
Right.
do,
Right.
and I kind of had to start looking at it that way. And I really even started doing that back when I was a police officer because it would be very frustrating. You would go through all this work and effort, to
Yeah.
bring somebody to justice, and doing an investigation and documenting and gathering evidence. And then you turn it all over and then they strike a deal
I know.
or whatever happens, and it
Mm,
can be really annoying and it can be
mm,
really disheartening. And so what I kind of had to realize was that I can only do my part.
right.
When my part is done, I can't control anything beyond that.
That's
And so
good.
when I've done my part, I have to check off justice, has
That's
occurred
good. Yeah.
because that's all I can
That's
do.
right. Right.
Do you think there's anything else we can do as humans to kind of reconcile when justice doesn't feel the way we think it should?
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that one. I'd like one, but
Right?
I
Same.
don't, you know, I- you just have to process it the way you process it, and I guess move on with your life. And I just tell myself, eventually justice will be done. So sad for the families and sad for the people, the victims, and
Mhm.
oh, but yeah.
It's hard, it's because we want to fix things. A lot of
Mhm.
us, you strike me as a fixer. You want to make people better. And so
Yeah.
it's really hard when it feels like a system created to do that maybe
Yeah.
didn't work
Yeah.
the way we thought it should work. I
Right.
want to add that in
That's true.
because
Yeah.
that's how our system,
Yeah.
is designed. That um, it goes to that jury of our peers if it even gets that far. Do you have people that struggle with that you counsel?
With justice.
Yeah, or with even maybe even entering the justice system. So maybe something's happened that is criminal, but they
Mhm.
even struggle taking it to that place because they're afraid of what might happen, or they're fearful that they might not get the outcome that they desire.
Yes, yes, to all that. Yeah. In the past, I have, yes, people not reported,
Hmm.
crimes and yeah.
How do you help them reconcile that?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, one of which was my daughter, but
Hmm.
she, you know, I think I shared with you something had happened to her when she was younger, and my impulse is to go to the police and get this documented. And she got threatened and was scared to death and thought
Hmm.
and was told that they would hurt our family. And I still haven't really. I don't know how to counsel someone on that one because I still feel like I'm more of a fighter, and
Hmm.
I would just, I don't care, let them try to kill me, but when you have a scared child, you kind of have to respect their opinion. And so, yeah, I wish I had an answer for that one.
Well, I appreciate what you just said, though. And I think that will be really meaningful to a lot of people listening or watching,
Mhm.
that word respect. We have to respect the decisions of others. We have to respect if somebody isn't ready,
Yeah,
maybe, to speak on something that has happened to them. And I think that's hard, again, for people like us who are the fixers, who are
yeah.
outspoken, who are the fighters a lot of
Hmm.
times. We're like, no, 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 like we got to
No.
stand on the rooftop and shout it
Yes,
and, make
yes,
sure everybody knows.
right.
I know for me, I have struggled at times. I don't want to say like getting angry with people because that's a little too far, but maybe disappointed, maybe
Yes,
feeling like, oh, I'm disappointed that you don't want
yes.
to do that, but it's their decision, right? Like
Mhm,
we have to respect
mhm.
that individual's decision. Do you think that's more difficult when it's a family member, and so like your mama
Yeah,
bear comes out and like
yeah,
you really want to do something?
yes.
How do you think though that, I mean, that had to show your daughter, though, an amazing character trait in you of that respect, that you were willing to respect her decision, even though you felt differently. So, how do you think that landed on her,
Yeah, I never thought of it.
growing up?
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. I guess I just, but to your point, I did feel anger. I still
Hmm.
do some days, because, that person is out there hurting
Hmm.
other people. And,
Right.
plus they hurt my kids. So I want to, take them down. But,
Hmm.
yeah, I never thought of it like that before. I hope that's how she sees it. You know, yeah, some things just aren't that cut and dry.
Yeah, that's what's rough,
Yeah,
when
it
it
is.
comes to healing,
Yeah.
honestly, in general, is it's never cut and dry.
Mm,
Do you deal with people who get discouraged because maybe like they think healing is linear,
yeah.
and we've learned that healing is really, and if you can't see me right now, I'm making crazy gestures with my hands because like healing is loops and knots and twists
Yes.
and
Yeah.
turns and ups and
Yep.
downs. So how do you give those people kind of the hope and encouragement when they think they're healing and then they hit a tough spot
Yeah.
and maybe start to feel like, well, I'm not as far along as I thought I was?
Yeah. Well, I think, the reminder that we're looking forward, we're not looking
Hmm.
back. We keep looking forward, and point out all of the steps that that person has taken, like huge steps. Because I think when you're in that mindset, you don't see it in yourself. You just think, I'm failing, I'm failing. But when
Hmm.
somebody else that loves you and respects you tells you, hey, let me just tell you what I see. And I'm pretty like impressed, because it's tough. Life is tough,
Hmm.
and it is not easy. And when people are making that kind of progress instead of sliding backwards, that's just worth celebrating. So, I think just encouragement, goes a long way. Somebody's on your side, somebody sees what you're doing, and we love it.
Yes, and it's hard to see that in yourself sometimes.
Yes,
It's like you said, it's hard to look inward and say, no, like I'm doing a great job here.
right.
I'm
Yes.
I'm crushing it right
Yeah.
now on my
Right.
healing journey. It's hard to
Right.
do.
Yes. And healing, like you said, it goes all over the place. And so even
Hmm.
if you're grieving, you may have like 2 weeks of just, okay, I'm doing it. And then you slide right back
Hmm.
into, crying out of the blue or in a store or, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm right back where I started. But that's not the way it's going to stay forever. It's just part of the process. And there's, like you said,
Yes.
always hope.
Yes, and I just want to reiterate that it's part of the process,
Mm,
for people who feel like a failure,
mhm.
when they have that moment of tears after 2 weeks of things being good,
Yeah.
you're not a failure. It is part of the healing process, and
Mhm.
it is a process.
It
And
is a process. Yeah.
I think a lot of things you never get over them, you just
Mhm.
get through them.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you think broken bones heal,
Mhm.
they heal differently, but
Mm.
when it comes to these different kinds of traumas, how do you feel about that and healing? Is it ever done, or is
Mm.
it a constant?
Well, I think it depends on what trauma it is. Um, I think about like empty nest.
Hmm.
Nobody ever talked about empty nests ever. And so when I went through it, I was like, what is wrong with me? Dear Lord, I can't stop crying. And so, like, nobody ever said, oh my gosh, I felt the same way or I feel the same
Hmm.
way. And so and again, I feel like it was just a learning thing that God had me go through so that now I can now understand what grief looks like to people
Hmm.
and also empty nest, and how painful it is. And, you invest your entire life and being into your children, and then all of a sudden it's over. And
Right.
we lived in the same house, they grew up in the same house, and so it was just memories everywhere. And yeah, it took me a long time to kind of figure out what the heck was going on. And then I just embraced it. I know that with grieving, a lot of people, or any kind of pain, people tend to not want to feel the pain.
Hmm.
um, I just let myself feel the pain. I went out back to all the places where they played and when they looked at their rooms. I just like let it all out and cried and
Right.
and just the sooner we get through this, the sooner
Hmm.
I'll get through on the other side. So yeah, so I learned a lot. Um, and I think it just depends on what the trauma or
Hmm.
situation is.
I'm glad you brought that up because I think a lot of things in life we don't think of as traumas,
Yeah, yeah.
but they really do affect us the same way. And one of those is, empty nest. And
Mm.
I don't have kids. I have a dog who's amazing, but it's got to be really tough
Yeah.
to, one day everything in your life, more or less is like
Yeah.
about this person, and then now they don't live here anymore. So
Yeah.
like they're not gone, but they're
Right.
gone.
But they're gone. Yeah. Yeah, weird. And I mean, it's funny. And even with my candy business, I do graduations and the moms come and they pick up their trays and stuff. And like, I'll be like, are you excited? Or, how do you feel?
Hmm.
Lots of times women will be like, they don't even know me. And then like, you know what? I'm having a really hard time with this. I'm trying to focus that, the kids are going to be, they're excited. They're going away for college, but, you know, nobody ever said that to me. So I'm
Hmm.
thrilled when then I said, I totally get it. I totally get it. So yeah, I think it's common.
You mentioned the candy business again, so I have to know, what is your favorite thing to make?
Oh, I love baking. So in the winter, it's the hot cocoa bombs. Um,
Okay.
they're just, I love them.
Hmm.
And for, I guess, Rice Krispie treats, and
Yes.
I know with chocolate, it's just, and you know what's funny? I never ate a Rice Krispie treat in my life because I was like, oh my God, there's too much sugar. Put chocolate on it, and it's just like
And
the
you're
most
in.
amazing. No sugar. Yeah. Those are fun. And then I think the chocolate covered Oreos because I can go
Mm.
crazy with decorating and just kind of use my, you know, they'll say to me, we're doing a tropical theme. I'm leaving it up to you to decorate. And oh my God, those are my favorite words. So I like doing that and just kind of, and then watching the final product, the final,
Yeah.
result.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. I love baking as well. I'm a cheesecake
Oh, well, yeah.
baker. So
Oh,
that's,
that's
yeah,
tough.
they
What?
are tough, but
Yeah.
I love them. And for me, I like the challenge of making like different, it's
Okay.
like throw me a flavor and I'll make it a cheesecake. So
Really? That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
You
I
should throw
love
them,
that.
Claudia.
I know I really should. So, maybe I'll join you at some
Yeah.
point, in
Yes.
the business of sweets.
Yep.
Do you ever feel like there's something next to come? So like is Candy Undercover 2, is that the plateau, or do you think that there's going to be a next step or a next evolution for you?
Well, I don't know. I just had my first grandbaby, and
Mhm.
oh my God. And so that's a whole new joy. I am
Right.
just in love. So she's my future. But as far as Candy Undercover goes, I like creating new things. Like I just put this new product out today. My friend, she orders for companies and for
Mhm.
meetings and stuff. And she said, we just want like bite size, chocolate kind of whatever. So you look at the stuff that's out there and it's just brownies and cookies and brownies and
Right.
cookies. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to decorate and do a platter that's going to knock your socks off. So I worked on that today and, got I don't know if I put the reel up yet, but sent it to her anyway. And I'm just so proud of it. I love it. So like it has all kinds of chocolate covered um, potato chips, Rice Krispies, but all bite size and
Mm-hmm.
s'mores and like all the things people love, but bite size.
Love
So
it.
yeah, so I guess that's my next whatever endeavor.
Yeah, I love it. I love bite size because you feel
Yeah.
less guilty, I think,
Right. Right. And you can have two.
at least.
Okay.
Let's talk about creation in a different form. So, I love the creation of tattoos.
Mhm.
I have a lot of tattoos. I love kind of the process, of for me coming up with like an idea or a theme and then connecting with the artist to create something amazing. Now, I know you don't have any tattoos right now,
Mhm.
but I think that you might want one. Do I have that correct?
I do. I do. I've been talking about it for a long time. I would love to have something that matches my daughter and my daughter-in-law because she's got tattoos too. Um, but like I want a cross
Hmm.
and like maybe my grandkids' initials or my kids' initials or something. But I like my daughter has one on her neck. Well, she's got like whatever, but she's got one on the back, the cross, and then she's got like
Hmm.
musical notes here. And I don't know. I want to do something that kind of matches them. I think
Yeah.
that's really cool. Yeah.
Now, is this an idea where it's like, yeah, that would be really cool, but it's never going to happen?
Mm,
Or like,
Um,
this is going to happen?
it's going to happen. No, it's going to
Nice.
happen. Yeah. In fact, I just met a woman who has tattoos all over. She's my daughter's new friend. And she said, there's a place that I go to that's very, very classy. Because a lot of the places scare me that you walk into. And so she said, she showed me all the pictures and it's like a salon, kind of very, very pretty and comfortable. And
Hmm.
she said, you're going to love it. So no, it's going to happen. Yeah.
I love that you said that because I remember when I got my first tattoo, I was 17. I was such a nerd. I've told this story a bunch, but I was so nerdy that I called the tattoo place to ask if they checked IDs, which is so dumb.
That's so
So of
cute.
course they said yes. So I like gather up my fake ID. They never checked my ID. Like they didn't ask for anything. But I always used to say the scariest part of getting a tattoo is the place you have to go
Yeah, someone
to
was.
get it.
Yeah.
It has improved, but
Has
that's
it?
really cool. So
Yeah.
yes, I mean now like it's very much most places, it's about cleanliness and
Yeah.
sterility and
Yes.
the vibe I think is very different now. than it
Okay.
used to be. But I would love to see like a salon tattoo. That'd be
Yeah.
pretty amazing. Like, give me a
Yeah.
glass of champagne
I
and
know. I know. See? Yeah. No,
yes,
I do wanna do that. Yeah, it's
that's
on my list.
awesome.
Mhm.
So, so we have an artist, so we don't need that. You have like your idea. Do you
Yeah.
think that will be your one and only tattoo, or are you going to catch tattoo
Oh,
fever as most of us do?
I love tattoos, but my husband does not.
Okay,
So I have to honor him. And I'm like, that's like fine. We'll give and take a little.
right.
So I do want, it's funny, my son didn't like tattoos either, and his wife
Mm.
has them all over, and she's so cute. But, you just love the person, so what difference does it make?
Right,
Um,
right.
but I don't know. I don't know. I just know I want that cross. It's been on my mind for a long time. I'd like something like up my arm,
Hmm.
I can look at all the time.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, see, that's cool.
So
What is that
yeah.
one? The,
So on this side, and I know it's upside down, but this is it's kind of hard to see it all, but it's a
oh,
cross. So it's
wow.
like my armor of God. There's you
Stop
can
it.
kind of get
Oh
it
my
there.
goodness.
And then
That's
it
beautiful.
flows into a Hanya mask, which is like a Japanese theater mask that also protects against evil. But my armor of God,
Mm,
kind of the thing I love about that is I incorporated the Japanese art of kintsugi into it. And that is where something gets broken and they
mm,
take it and they will use this gold um, flecked or glue, to put it back together. And so
yeah,
they say that it's now stronger and more
stronger.
beautiful than it
Hmm.
was before. And so I have gold flecks kind of in some of the cracks of
Oh my
the
God.
cross and the shield to
Yeah.
represent that it's stronger and more beautiful than it was before. So,
But you
yeah,
are stronger
I
and more beautiful inside and out.
thank you. Thank
You are.
you. As are you, my friend.
Thank you.
Well, I want everybody to know where they can find you. So if they also want to taste the bite size chocolate treats,
Yeah.
if they want to talk to you about maybe some Christian counseling,
Yeah.
or if they want to talk some true crime with you, where can
Yes.
people find you?
So do you mean websites or?
Yeah, like I don't want them coming to your house unless you
Okay.
do.
I
So, I
do.
mean,
Um,
I've had people give out their phone numbers before, which I think
oh,
is nutty.
no.
But yeah, so how do
Okay.
you want people
Okay.
to find
So
you in the world?
Okay, so if you go to Candy Undercover 2, the number 2.com,
Mm-hmm.
that's all local. So it's local to Massachusetts. I don't ship anymore. My Christ-centered coaching.com is anything. I can do Zoom
Okay.
calls. I can do, it's anywhere. So yeah,
And
Christ-centered coaching.
perfect. And let me tell everybody, your coaching is incredibly reasonably priced. I
No, thank you.
mean,
Yeah,
incredibly.
thank
So people, like if you're looking to try somebody out, like you can't go wrong. I'm
yeah,
just putting that out there.
yeah, yeah.
I was looking at your website and I was like, wow, like
Well, I
that's a
think
good
that,
deal.
people are hurting and to sit there and a lot of people don't take health insurance anymore. So,
Yeah.
including
Right.
myself. So I don't want to make it so that somebody can't afford to get the help they need. It defeats the whole purpose. So, and also when you charge money, I think people bring it to the table. Do you know what I mean? They don't
For
blow you
sure.
off. They don't, you're serious
Yes.
about what you
Right.
want to get done. So,
Yes.
there's a purpose and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause like they've got skin in the game now. They're
That's
making that
probably what I was,
commitment.
yes,
Yeah.
probably what I was trying to say, but yeah.
I agree. Well, Cheryl, you have been absolutely amazing. I really appreciate you taking the time today to chat with me and to share with our audience, some of what you believe when it comes to healing,
Mm,
forgiveness, and a little bit about candy. So, thank you so much for being with me today.
thank you for having me, Claudia. Thank you very much. It was
Yeah.
fun.
Thank you for listening to the Strong Enough podcast. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform by searching Strong Enough. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at strongenoughpod. If you have suggestions for an upcoming episode or a future guest, please reach out at strongenoughpod@gmail.com. Remember, you are worth it.